And I said some unflattering things about you as well. Like you planning to bribe a government official.
Is that what they told you?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Power Ghost fans. We are back to cover episode 408 of the final season entitled Higher Calling. Before I begin, thank you for joining me. Make sure you like and subscribe. I've been covering every single Power episode this season. So, of course, I'm going to be here to cover the final 2 episodes. I have over 8,000 subscribers right now. I'm on the road to 10K. So, I appreciate your support going forward as we head into the final episodes of this series. So, enough of that. Let's get right into it. The obvious big moment of this entire episode, we have the union now of Agent Carter and Noma. As Noma put it, they have a common enemy and now they have a common goal. And I couldn't help but when watching this scene, it immediately took me back to The Wire when Brother Muzone and Omar hooked up together. And that was a big thing. They were initially pitted against each other. They had one conversation and realized they were both being played, and now they're targeting one enemy. But I want you to keep something in mind about that for those who watch The Wire. The reason why we remember that union so much is because of, excuse me, it's because of who they took out, which was Stringer Bell, and probably the most shocking death of the entire series. So for Power, it's kind of the same philosophy. For this union between Agent Carter and Noma to mean anything, they do have to take out somebody significant in the next episode. So the question is going to be, who's going to be the person? Who's going to be the target? So I've kind of narrowed it down to 3 people who I think potentially could be the ones that they kill next episode. The first one, obvious one, would be Tariq. You know, Tariq, Tariq is the one setting all this in motion. He's the common denominator. Noma's been wanting to take him out before. Agent Carter's already sick of him, and he knows how smart Tariq is. He's the obvious target to take out first, if we're being logical. But of course, this is Power. We also know Tariq is the main character. Very unlikely for that to happen, particularly in the very next episode when we have one more episode left for the actual finale, or one episode until we get to the finale. So I don't see Tariq dying, even though that would make the most sense logically for them to target. Second person would be Monet. Now, this actually has a little bit more traction. Monet has been unruly since the beginning with this agreement with Carter. Carter's constantly having to check her and remind her that she's not the one in control. Noma has no love for her because obviously Noma senses the disrespect that Monet has for her, and Monet obviously also wants her spot. She's the one, the matriarch of the family. All the children follow her lead. So with Monet out of the picture, the Tejada family crumbles at that point. So she's also the obvious one to me. But here's the thing, if you go back to my other recaps before the break earlier on in season 4, I did predict Monet is going to get killed. But my person I was centering on would be her sister, played by Golden Brooks's character. And the reason why that makes more sense is because you could see the tension before with Golden Brooks's character. You're kind of envious of the lifestyle that Monet has, but having no love for the drug dealing and all the drama that Monet has brought to the family. So I could see Golden Brooks's character looking at that as, this is the only way I can free my family of this, drug dealing curse, is to get Monet out of the picture. Uh, Now, we haven't seen Golden Brooks's character this entire second half, but I do know that she is going to be showing up before the finale. I don't know if it's in the finale or in the very next episode, episode 9. But if she is going to come back, it should be for a big reason. So I'm going to leave Monet off of the list of getting killed by the Carter Noma alliance. I'm still going to be having her getting taken out by Golden Brooks's character. So I think Monet is going to be safe for the next episode, even though to me it makes sense for her to get killed or be targeted by Noma and Carter. So who's number 1 on my list? I'm going to go with good old Brayden, good old coked out Brayden. Now, why am I picking Brayden? Because I think he's the safest choice if you're a power writer, because the way this season's been going, I feel like they're putting all their chips in this table for the actual finale. They've been holding a lot of these characters in place to have an explosive finale, which hopefully will be more than an hour. So if they're doing that, to me, Brayden is the most expendable because he really has no storyline left. His one lasting thing was really this whole kind of flimsy thing he had going on with the singer. and they're out of the picture now. The girl is not happy with what he did on her behalf, killing her drug supplier. She wasn't down with that. She breaks up with Braden. He has nothing left, really. His family's been out of the picture, so you can't go back to that storyline. Doesn't have a woman anymore. He's a loose cannon with his drug habit. You saw the argument that he had with Tariq, which is very reminiscent of what Ghost and Tommy were going through when they were having, their constant arguments. Tariq and Braden look very similar when they were arguing after Braden killed the drug dealer. But to me, Braden is just totally off the rails right now, and he's expendable. To me, he really has no storylines and no purpose going into the last couple episodes besides following Tariq around. So to me, he's the obvious kind of easiest character that they could kill. Now, I don't think they would target him because I obviously don't think they look at him as that important, but I think he's going to get caught in the crossfire some type of way, maybe even saving Tariq, and that's what's going to get him killed. So for someone dying next episode, I'm going to pick Brayden. I think that's the safest one for the power writers, and then that can lead into this whole explosive finale where we have a big all-out war between both sides and then more bodies drop. But I do think Noma and Carter have to make kind of a big splash the next episode, because no one knows that they're clicked up now. So they can get the drop on either Monet, Braden, excuse me, either Monet, Braden, or Tariq. So I do think they go after Tariq and kill kind of Braden in the crossfire. I think that's what happens. And then that, of course, is going to make Tariq all murderous and ready for revenge. And now we have a great finale to look forward to in a couple weeks. So that is the big death I'm thinking we're going to get in episode 9 next week. The other big thing that occurred is we finally got some insight into Effie's home life. The appearance of her mother, Josie, who all of us know as Adriana Soprano, showing up. So I guess that kind of proves that the power in the Soprano universe are linked. And Adriana survived being out in the woods and somehow got a baby and raised Effie on her own and all that good stuff. But that was a good scene that's kind of showing why Effie is so cold. Her mother who couldn't protect her from being molested, and now is coming back wanting favors. Effie is feeling used again. And one thing I like about Effie's character, and we see it also when she saw Noma flaunting the ring in front of her, is that Effie has this thing when she's upset or hurt. She has this very sad frown that she puts on her face, but it's only for a couple seconds. You see it for a few seconds, and then she goes back to her typical resting bitch face and showing no emotions and acting like she's not hurt. I really like how she does that with her character. It shows that she has a big heart, but she constantly has to hide it because the people around her are hurting her or don't value her. So I did like that we got that insight and that she did remain strong in keeping her mother out of her life, but we see that is the reason why she is the way she is now. Like her mother put it, I've been inside your head for all these years. And that leads us to Kane. I will say this whole Kane and Effie dynamic, no matter what type of drama they try and put between them, I don't think any of us buy it anymore. We know at this point they're always going to end up smiling and laughing at each other. That's just the way they are. So this whole thing about Kane marrying Noma, it's like whatever. We know where both their hearts are at. We saw in this situation when Kane came over and Effie was trying to act all tough and cold and saying, here's your new online identity I gave for you, trying to, not give him any emotion. They end up smiling and laughing at the end. That's just the way they are. So we know there's always going to be a bond there. And the big question is, when I talked about, Kane possibly dying, the only thing I can see scenario wise is him trying to save Effie from Noma, because Noma is already kind of just using Kane to kind of psychologically abuse Effie to a degree. But if it comes to a point where she goes after Effie and tries to kill her, we know Kane is not going to let that happen. So, either Kane kills Noma, to protect Effie, or it could be a situation where, kind of like how we saw with Ghost and Angela, where Noma got the gun on Effie, tries to shoot her, and then Kane jumps in front and gets shot, and then we have a whole little sad scene of Kane talking about, "I always loved you, Effie," blah blah blah. It's going to be something. It's going to be something like that, I'm pretty sure. But we know in the end, their love for each other is going to shine through. Now, whether it's going to be a tragic ending or whether they're going to be happily ever after, we're going to see. And possibly Effie may die too, trying to save Kane, possibly because we know Dru told Kane that you're just the newest fall guy, similar to what happened with Obi. So if there's any type of dissension that Noma senses from Kane, she won't have any problems turning on him. So something to keep in mind with Effie's storyline going forward. Uh, One of the big surprises this episode was actually Method Man character Davis. I thought Davis kind of hit the highest point he's ever hit in this series. As far as being a lawyer, he hit the Proctor level. And what I mean by that, you might remember when Proctor came to see Ghost, he had that note telling Ghost that don't say anything. I have a wire on me, to protect Ghost. And Davis is something similar, getting to that meeting at the last moment when Noma was sitting down there to make her introduction, telling her that you're under surveillance. We need to get out of here immediately. So I think now Noma looks at him very, very differently as far as knowing he's someone that she can not only just rely on, but keep her one step ahead of the authorities, which is very, very important to her. So I think, in a sense, Davis has kind of moved up a little bit higher in the food chain than Kane, even though that might change if this marriage goes through. But until then, I think she relies a little bit more on Davis because he has that edge on the legal side that Kane can't quite get to at this point. So I thought Davis really improved his standing with Noma's side. But here's the key thing: whose side is Davis really on? Because Davis, to me, tips the power between both sides. If he sticks with Noma's side, with him, Noma and Carter, they really should obliterate the other side. But like he told Tariq this episode, "I'm loyal to your side." If he keeps that philosophy, he's the one that can actually upend this whole alliance with Carter and Nova, because he has all that inside information he could feed to Tariq. Let's say he finds out that Carter was the one that killed Kamal some type of way. He leaks that evidence to Consummate Tate, and then everything Carter built up is in tatters at that point. And then also it exposes Noma. So Davis might be the key, actually. Funny enough, when these last two episodes go, it really depends on who he ends up being loyal to. And really, his loyalty is going to be who has the most money that they can put up. So, in theory, it should be Noma, but Davis is also a little bit emotional. We already see he's kind of in his feelings about Kane being around. So, that can cause him maybe to stay loyal to Tariq. We shall see. But I think Davis is actually surprisingly possibly the key to the series over these last couple episodes. So let's keep an eye on Davis and what decisions he decides to make. As far as kind of like the biggest things I enjoyed this episode, it was really a comedic episode when you think about it. There was a lot of one-liners. Of course, you have Monet always going at Kane, calling him pussy whoop, and really going at him every scene that he was in. So that was obviously funny. The biggest laugh I probably got was Tariq smirking and laughing to himself when he found out that Kane and Noma are going to get married. That was hilarious. Also, Anya, remember Noma's daughter, going to meet Kane and him basically throwing money at her, telling her, to go somewhere and make a TikTok. That was funny. So there's a lot of funny scenes that we had in this episode and a lot of funny one-liners. Also from Davis, when he was talking to Tariq, telling Tariq to slow down, when he was coming up with this whole plot about going at Carter and Noma. So a lot of comedy, unintentional comedy, maybe in this episode. So I think it flowed really well and didn't take me too much out of the episode. So it was very entertaining the entire 1 hour. So I thought that was a big plus. As far as the worst moment, the only thing that really stood out to me was actually at the beginning when Monet and Tariq were coming up with their plot about, we're going to, convince and trick Noma to take out Carter. It was a little too much obvious exposition. The way they were talking to each other, Monet and Tariq, it just didn't seem natural. And it was obviously that the writers were trying to spell it out for us that they're going to try and take out Carter through Noma. This wasn't a natural conversation between them. Go back and watch that scene. It was just not written well. So that was kind of stood out to me as something that just even for Power just did not feel natural between those two characters, the way they were talking to each other. But that was kind of the only really bad moment, that stood out to me as far as like bad writing and that translated into the actual episode. Closing thoughts as far as things we need to pay attention to heading into episode 9. I will say Nico. I talked about Nico last episode, that he's the last agent that Carter can depend on. And last episode, he really did not seem too much on board with this whole, the Russians killed Kamal. It seemed like he was potentially going to flip. He had the money offer from Noma and Kane, but he remained loyal. He immediately told Carter. So as of now, he is loyal, but I think everybody has a price. If he feels the walls closing in a little too much, I think he flips. But the thing is, what is going to make those walls close in? That's something we have to keep an eye on. We'll see how he reacts to this alliance that they have with Noma and Kane, if he's on board with that, or if that makes him a little leery. So keep an eye on Nico, because where his loyalties lie can also be a key in these last 2 episodes. Also Diana, Diana was kind of in flux this episode. She had the whole situation where, she wanted to sleep with Tariq again to get a quote unquote replacement baby. She's trying to get a handle on all of her emotions after losing a child, also taking a life. So she's not baby girl anymore, as Monet put it. She's still trying to reconcile where her life is now and where she wants her life to go going forward. She's not ready to jump back in the game. She's kind of forced to at this point. So she could be a key to Golden Brooks's character coming back, because she's going to need somebody else to confide in. And when Golden Brooks hears this story about how she lost her baby because of all this drama that Monet is in, that can be another way that drives Golden Brooks's character to kill Monet, because I still think that is going to be the way that Monet gets taken out, because that's one person I don't think Monet will see coming. So Diana might be the key to that happening when she reveals what happened with the miscarriage. Also, Dru. Dru is someone else to look at. He seems to like his position with Agent Carter. He has a crew of his own. He seems loyal at this point, but Monet did tell him that you're always going to be a Tejada. Now that has double meaning, because the Tejadas don't have any problem, killing themselves and people in their family. So that might be something he tells Monet, if he's the one that kills her and says, "Yeah, I am a Tejada, and this is for my father." So we never know where Dru's going to go. He just seems at this point that he's resigned to the fact that I'm going to be nothing more than a drug dealer. All the dreams I had about being an artist and being, legit, all that's out the window now. So we'll see how far he's willing to go under Agent Carter. Would he be willing to kill one of his own? Because I think that's what's going to be proposed to him once he finds out about this alliance with Noma, and we'll see where Kane is at with that too. Are they willing to go completely on board to kill either Monet or Tariq? Tariq, yeah, they will, but will they even go as far as to set their mother up? So that's what we're going to be seeing in the next episode. I'll close with saying that because of this big alliance, as I said earlier in this review, we need a big death in episode 9. I think the safest person would be Brayden, because he really has no more storylines. I'm going to stick with that. Everyone else would be a little bit of a surprise. I think Monet being killed by Noma and Carter's alliance would be surprising. I think it would be more impactful to have her taken out by Golden Brooks' character. And obviously it makes the most sense to take out Tariq, but we know Tariq is the star of the show, so we need him for the finale. So I think even if they go after him, they shoot Brayden by accident, some type of way, but I think Tariq is safe. So I think overall, I like this episode a little bit more than episode 7, which I gave a B minus. I'll give this episode a solid B. I like the comedic moments. I was entertained the entire hour. And I think we have a nice, good villain conglomerate for the last 2 episodes. So we're going to see how powerful Carter and Noma can be, and how much havoc they can cause in the next episode before we hit the finale. So that's where we're at, and we'll see where, Tasha and other people we see in this episode, how they factor in. They got to show up in the next 2 episodes, so we'll see where that goes with that. But thank you guys for tuning in. This is my review of episode 8, Higher Calling. We have 2 more episodes left in Power Ghost. So give me your predictions. Who you think makes it? Who you think don't? Do you think I'm off base with this whole Monet getting killed by her sister? Do you think I'm off base with Brayden getting killed next episode? Um, how does Carter and Noma fall apart? Because obviously that has to happen by the finale. What is it, the thing that destroys them? Is it going to be Nico? Is it going to be Tate finding out about who really killed his brother? So many possibilities, and we only have 2 episodes left. So really only 2 hours. I haven't heard anything about the finale being more than an hour. It would be nice, but if we have 2 hours left in the entire series, they have a lot to wrap up. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you again for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'm on the road to 10K by the end of the year, a little bit over 8,000 subscribers right now. So I thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will see you guys all next week to recap episode 9.